Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast, all about video games and beer. It's episode, I think, 374, and I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Aadil.
Hey!
And Lucy.
Oh,
And
been a while.
it's been a minute. It's been several minutes since we managed some time to get together. There is an episode somewhere on my computer that is yet to go up onto the internet as well. You may have heard this already. You may have heard that one before you hear this one. Who knows? Thanks to the Omniarch for resubscribing. We'll get to games and what we've been up to very, very soon. Let's open some beers. I haven't drank at all since we spoke last. You know, it's been... that's a lie.
Yeah, they almost haven't.
That's a life for all of us.
Lucy, what are you going to be drinking this week?
I am going to be drinking a beer straight from the brewery, Baron,
Nice.
where I went over the weekend.
Mm.
And I would like us all to admire the can art. 1 second.
Oh,
Is that
nice.
a wibbly tiger? Cat.
It's some kind of cat.
Yes.
Some kind of feline.
It definitely has wibbly legs
The
and
long-legged
horse.
feline.
Mhm.
Unguent? Is that the right word?
Undulations.
Yes, it's called Tiptoes. And it's a 6% IPA. Oh, and they have... some good-
Ungulate. That's what I was like.
Okay. And they've got some bit of flavour text at the back here. So, Tiptoes, which is a 6% IPA, is a mix of house favourite hops, Citra Nelson. This is how rusty I am. I was going to say Nelson and Sauvin as different hops.
Ooh.
Yeah. Citra Nelson Sauvin and Idaho 7 in a silky smooth softy of an IPA. Summer never tasted so good. Not for cats. Oh.
Poor cats.
Have you ever given your cat beer?
No.
Either of you?
No.
Okay.
I don't
Oh.
believe so.
You might have just accidentally.
Just absolutely hammered, like... "Brah!"
But yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to tucking into this one. Baron are great.
Nice, good. I've got a couple of beers. And I'm going to start with a smallish one. I went to France on holiday very recently, so I have a couple of French beers this evening. The first is from a Mont Hardi. It is a Saison de table, so it's a Saison table beer, I assume. It's only 3.5%. There's a little bit of flavour text. I can't tell you what it is because my French is atrocious, as I learnt whilst being in France and people having no idea what I was talking about.
Nice.
There's the
Well, that's
label.
good.
Yeah, well,
It's nice when you go. No, it's nice to go somewhere as a Brit and not everyone speaks English. For
Oh,
once.
absolutely. I did. I said, I was like, parlez-vous anglais? One bloke just looked at me dead in the face and was like, no. And I'm like,
Good.
cool.
Oh, great.
How do I get across this conversation? This is it's a Saison. It's I guess number 53. It could just be the name of the beer rather than an assigning of a number against it. But Saison was in France. I drank a lot of them, so that's what I have to start this evening. Aadil, what are you going to be drinking?
That is a very good question. I'm having Lakes Brew Company's actually maybe a collab with Lochran Brewers Direct. It's a Enter Player 3.
Oh,
It's a hazy IPA, 7%, 450ml can. And let me so brewed and canned in glorious English Lakes District by Lakes Brew Company, which I'd not had before. So hazy using new hop tech in the form of 3 varieties of CGX hops, that's cryogenic lupulin pellets. It's Eldorado CGX, Idaho 7 CGX, Strata CGX, plus mirroring the 3 varieties with T90s and Eldorado, Idaho 7 Strata from Crosby Hops and Indie Hops via Lochran Brewers Select. This should bring a This should bring a big fruity dank haze bomb your way with layers of bright tropical fruits, perfect to celebrate Black Lodge Brewers' 10th anniversary beer expo in June. It's a bit old in my fridge apparently. or the place I bought it for. So yeah, Eldorado CGX Idaho. Sorry, let me be clear. It's Eldorado registered trademark, CGX trademark, Idaho 7 registered trademark, CGX trademark, Strata registered trademark, CGX trademark, Eldorado registered trademark, Idaho 7 registered trademark, and Strata registered trademark. There's like
Mine
I
does
wish you
not have
could
the
see.
trademark.
Hmm?
Mine does not have the trademarks.
Yeah, it's weird having the ones
Mm.
on the hops. I get the CGX because it's a proprietary technology having the
Mm.
trademark, but saying Eldorado R, Idaho 7 R. It's like, wow. Anyway, so yeah, Crosby hops, CGX, Indie hops flavor of project, and those the regular hop T90s. What is it? Yeah, T90s are from Lochran Brewers, and the rest are the Lakes Brews introduction to robot hops or whatever they're called.
Oh shit! Sorry, overpour.
Okay.
Yep, overpour. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'm jealous. I left my fancy cups in Bristol.
Oh yes.
Which now I
yes.
have 3 of instead of 4.
Um,
This OG member of Tank Dub
mm,
broke one.
Mr. Malpass. Let's roll back round then. Lucy, how's your beer?
Yeah, I already started drinking it.
Yeah.
And I had it at the brewery, so I
Okay.
already knew it was nice.
On draft?
Yes.
Mhm.
And this is also nice. It kind of very much tastes like Steady Rolling Man. Because I
Okay.
think anyone who's possibly listening to this podcast knows what that tastes like.
Mm.
Just like really light, citrusy, floral. Oh, like tropical fruits, bit of mango, bit of orange, bit of tangerine. Oh, it just smells delightful.
Nice.
It tastes delightful. Yeah. Very fruity. It's got a nice medium body to it. Maybe that's the all those additions of the hops and just that flavor, because I guess like texture wise it feels quite light, but then when you get to that like chewy body of it, like the fruit and nice bit of bitterness at the end, it's just feels bolder than it the texture would suggest otherwise. But
Okay.
it's great. I wish well, I haven't been to many beer shops probably in the last several months, but don't often see Baron. I wish it was a bit more prevalent. Obviously,
Absolutely.
it's a very small brewery. One guy runs it, so it's like, can't ask for everything. But it sort of feels like the days when Daya were just like trying to get your hands on one of their cans. And it's like, I'm not quite at that level of fervor. Maybe because I just don't drink too much, or not that often these days. But if I was to, be like, if you could have any beer, what beer would you want? I think Baron would be up there nowadays.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I think we mentioned the other day the 2 or 3 that I've had from them have all been just really good. Just a really good quality to them.
It reminds me of how beer used to be before everyone started doing weird pastry sours.
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day when people used to just do the very Americanized IPA.
Yeah.
Everything's just very fruity and only a touch of bitterness, but just enough to where you can just say, yeah, this is still an IPA.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice. Cool.
It's great.
Good. The Saison. I mean, I'll say off the bat, it is great. It's very, very heady, very, very frothy coming out of the bottle. Really light nose, a little bit of spice on there, but a little bit more maybe citrus than anything else coming off the nose. Bit deeper in colour, but not quite as hazy as yours, Lucy. But to be expected with it being a Saison.
Yeah, mine's quite cloudy.
Like really carbonated, not to the point of it being kind of too like poppy. It's carbonated enough that it's just pushing a few of those flavours forward slightly. And the only downside to that is that there is a very, very slight soapiness to it. And I think the carbonation is pushing that a little bit more than if it wasn't quite as carbonated. You wouldn't pick up on that if it wasn't quite as carbonated. Like getting a little bit of the citrus coming through, getting a touch of spice. It's something I can't quite put my finger on. Whether it is a little bit of coriander and that soapiness comes along with it slightly, and more like coriander seed than sort of leaf. That kind of little hit to it, but it isn't very much. It's not like a big spicy saison. It's a very light and citrus flavored beer. So there's not a huge amount going on, but it's all very, very pleasant, and it's very, very easy. And I think it is one of those that just dialing back that carbonation slightly would just eliminate that touch of soapiness to make this, just a really easy drinking, really light citrus, a touch of, as I say, of spice, a little bit of bitterness on the end, not much at all, but something that is just like 3.5%. You could drink it all day, essentially.
And today is a good day weather-wise for it, because it was like 27 degrees earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. This would have been perfect at like 3 o'clock this afternoon. Yeah, yeah. Not that my clients would be very happy with me just supping on a saison while I'm chatting to them, but yes.
You're the boss, you maybe.
To be fair, I could just implement just beer afternoons, couldn't I? It's like, if you've got a meeting with me in the afternoon, there'll be a bit. Aadil, we'll come to you.
Yeah. So they were totally right on the haziness. I'm not sure you can see just because I've got a bit of a stronger light in front of me, but it's pretty opaque. It's in person, it's a bit more yellowy orange than. It seems more orange on screen, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I poured with about 2 fingers ahead before it settled, so nice boisterous pour. Got a really lovely tropical fruity nose, just a hint of dankness, and a bit of almost a light tarty sour note right at the end of the finish of the nose. Rounds it out.
Nice.
So I wouldn't call it a fruity, dank haze bomb.
Okay.
But I would call it dank and hazy.
Okay. Just without the bomb.
Yeah, which I prefer. I was a little worried. The dankness is definitely there at the roof of your mouth at the beginning of the taste. There are nice layers of tropical fruit. Think a light passion fruit coming in near the finish before fading, and then a bit more of a generic fruitiness before that. What I like about the dankness is it's sort of not a bomb. It's there, and it continues throughout the taste curve. And so as the fruit kind of goes, hey, and then fades, and a few of the, as they call it, a few of the fruity tastes start to fade at different places, so you notice them. The dankness feels like it's picking up, but it's actually, I think, just steady. It's just the other tastes are fading away, and it's staying strong. Having said that, it doesn't overstay its welcome. So the dankness is there through the main taste, but in the finish, it's actually kind of reserved. So that's when it drops off, and then you have a little bit of a sweet, passion fruity finish. I'm curious when my palate acclimatizes how much of the bittering note that I'm having now at the finish will just disappear just because it'll sort of be saturated in my palate. It's really nice and effervescent. I hope the dank, sort of more slightly bitter. It's like it's dank without being like pine needly. So it's it's like dankness, but not really forcefully so. And so the bitter note is much more close to the fruit. And I'm curious how that will fade out. It's very drinkable. It's all of these tastes are nice and light. It's 7%, doesn't taste like it. So yeah, the calling it a bomb of some sort of threw me off because the whole taste curve is like kind of reserved in the sense like it's not in your face, and I really like that. It means that I'm reaching for it because I want more of the taste and to like decipher it rather than it's not so lightly like it's not such a light touch that I'm like that's not enough. I need another couple swigs. There's just enough nuance. I think that the layering makes sense. There's enough like nuance to the taste that I want to have more just to experience it rather than it being like flat but like a low flat curve. I can definitely taste the CGX though.
Can taste the AI robot crafted.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh yeah, speaking of robots, I didn't actually tell you guys this before, but I finally got my 24-hour ECG appointment for my heart stuff.
Nice.
So I'm currently all wired up.
Wired up.
Yeah, so I am my own CGX.
That took a while for you to get an
Oh yeah, I haven't had any caffeine since June 5th.
Wow. How do you feel? Are you like now like Neo in like the Matrix and you can just see the
I
numbers?
can see the code of the world.
Yeah.
Kind of. I also, because like obviously that medication stuff was affecting my mood, I also cut back on drinking a lot. And so went for a couple of weeks without really any booze or like a pint in a week. And now I'm mostly at a pint at an occasion level.
Okay.
So it's been a very, very strange couple of months. Like I went to my buddy Isaac's birthday party in London a couple weekends ago and had 4 Heineken Zeros.
Wow.
And, glass of Prosecco. And then
all the sugar.
And the thing is, I'm still spending money because I go to pubs on just non-alcoholic beer. It turns out there are more okay ones than we found in January. And also like the ritual of having a coffee means I'm having a lot of decaf Americanos, which are just like mildly sad. It's like I'm paying 2-3 quid for something that doesn't quite have like if it tasted like coffee, like it's the finish. There's just like a burnt character you don't get in a decaf. I'd be fine. Some of them are really good and like they're better than like going to a crappy chain coffee place, right? But it's not scratching the I'm the Ponce who like gets the coffee, hand grinds it in the morning, uses an AeroPress, and it's like I do that with decaf beans, and it's like I'm having a warm drink. It tastes like a thing I like.
I think there's a whole lost podcast about you and coffee.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah. But yeah, so it's been really strange. Anyway, so if I feel heart palpitations, I need to. The thing is, like, it looks like I'm wearing a pager.
Does.
Yeah. So if something goes wrong, if I feel the symptom, I have to push a button and then write on a piece of paper what the symptom was, because that's the technology we're using.
I mean, have they given you a list of these symptoms that you may feel, or is it just kind of anything out of the norm?
I think if I feel a thing, it's literally just to help the cardiologist triangulate, because there's just going to be it's a constant monitoring of my heart for 24 hours. So this is like if you noticed a thing, write it down and what it felt like to you, and then the cardiologist can like it just saves them some looking, plus it'll tell them what it feels like to you, which they can't just get from the data.
Sure.
The problem is I was only getting those symptoms on the magic ADHD medicine that it was clearly ruining my life, and I haven't been on that since June 5th.
Yeah.
So I'm not even in withdrawal range, but this should see if there's an underlying condition because the things it was doing weren't standard. Anyway, craft beer video game.
Hooray!
No, I want to talk about resting heart rates.
Come on then, Lucy. Give us your 2 cents and then we'll move on.
No, I was just joking.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no, mine's like low. So,
As is mine.
Mine's like, my Fitbit just thinks I'm asleep sometimes.
Oh yeah. Emily's resting heart rate's closer to like 44.
Yeah, mine's like 50 or something like that. Yeah.
And so like when I was peaking, with the medication, like random peaks in the middle of the day, which is what was going on. I was peaking at over 4 times her resting heart rate.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not right. You should never quadruple
Well,
another adult
there's a
human
scale.
being's heart
scale.
rate.
There's a scale, so
Yeah.
you may have been on the upper end. Yeah, when I was
I was peaking at 174, 175,
just
sitting at a desk,
resting,
being stressed.
Oh dear lord!
Every day.
Yeah,
and then that's what the doctor described as a daily risk of a sudden cardiac event. Hence why I haven't had caffeine until this thing.
I like how calm that doctor was. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When I was on my
cardiac event is not a term you want to hear. Casually dropped by
anything that has cardiac in it, you don't want to hear it.
I mean, it could be great cardiac health. I wouldn't mind that.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
But the one thing worse than sudden cardiac event is daily risk of.
Yeah.
I've been playing my own video game.
Weird.
Anyways,
bodies are weird.
The beer's nice.
Good.
That's what I was.
Good. I'm glad the beer is nice. If a sudden cardiac event happens, at least good beer.
Let's be on camera.
Jesus. Let's move on to games then.
Archive
shall we?
That stream.
Talk about some
The
joyous.
one where a dill died.
Oh, no.
Our Twitch VOD reviews are like, did you see that one where that guy in the messy room just died?
It just goes nuts on Reddit. That's it. It's
Yeah. /r/funny vids.
/more
Twitch
vid.
fails.
Yeah.
Oh, Twitch fails. Yeah, Lucy got it.
Brilliant. Let's enjoy these beers and we'll talk about some video games then and drag ourselves back on track for a little bit at least. Video games. I don't know if anyone's played any video games. It's been like a month since we talked about video games. I know. I played barely anything, but I did get a little bit of time before my holiday, before my absolutely nuts couple of weeks at work, to play a little bit of Viewfinder. Lucy, I know you have played a little bit as well.
I can at least talk about what I played in the demo because I was sit down with it today, and then the sun was out, so I was like, "Wow, this is a once in a lifetime thing nowadays." So gotta make the most of it. Yes, that was me. Literally.
Perfect.
But I have played the demo, so maybe what you are going to describe, definitely.
Okay, I mean, we've talked about Viewfinder a little bit before, like when the demo dropped and those kinds of things. And it is more of what you get from the demo. It is manipulation of space, taking photos, placing photos within the environment. It's very good at that like depth of field of being like, here is a photo, and then here is how that extrapolates into a 3D space. And it's not something that is kind of pinned in. It is something that replaces the environment that is already there. And I've probably played, I would say, more than half. I can't remember what stage I am on.
Quite short, isn't it?
It is quite short. Yes, I think there's 5 stages, and I'm towards the end of the 3rd, I believe.
Oh, okay.
It might be the 3rd. And it is more of the same, right? It's just that things start to get a little bit more complicated, and I'd imagine that there starts to be a little bit more creativity in how you work out these puzzles. So for people who don't know Viewfinder, you are moving through different spaces, and to get to the next space, you have to find a terminal and either kind of turn it on or just stand on it and activate it. And you will find that in these spaces, some of these terminals are on a ceiling and are upside down, or are behind a wall, or are through an immovable kind of gate and things like that. And you have to manipulate the space to get through it or change where the terminal is. And you have a camera to be able to do that. Some levels you pick up pictures, which allow you to do certain things. And I have put a little bit of time into it the other day as well. So I did jump back onto it after I'd come back from holiday as well. as kind of the thing, almost a little bit more of I should get back to this and play a little bit more. But playing that a little bit more, I'm thinking this is enjoyable.
Yeah.
It is maybe a little bit, pardon the pun, one-dimensional. It is very repetitive in what you are looking at doing. There aren't many more things to do. I'm not manipulating like objects within a space. I am kind of like literally taking an image and then placing that within it. So one of the spaces, it tells you that you can't break a link between a switch and a terminal. So I was trying to line up, taking a picture of the switch and the pipe, and then taking a picture of the terminal and the pipe, and trying to line them up so the two pipes connected. And every single time it was just pinging, and I wasn't lining this up. And I'm like, okay, how do I get around this? Right, I'll take a picture of the ground in front of me, turn around, place more ground so I can get a more distance to then take a picture of the entire run of switch, pipe, and terminal. And then I can place that and move there. That may be the only solution. It might be exactly what they wanted me to do. But it kind of threw that little bit of a curveball where you're thinking, oh, it's told me not to break the pipe. So there must be a way for me to set these photos. It's given me 3 photos on the camera to be able to take, to then connect them in some way. And it's just more like, nah, just do what you've done almost every single other level. Don't try and gain it in a way and try and look for more kind of options and things. Just do what you've done previously. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm wondering when I move to maybe the 4th or 5th stages, if it is just going to be a bit more of the same. And I think if it is, fine. If it is that bit of a shorter runtime to it, because it is enjoyable. There's a little bit of thought to it. You know, there's some stages where it isn't necessarily just something that's in front of you or something that's just to the side of you. There's a little bit of like height and depth stuff going on as well in some of the solutions. Placing a platform down below so you can kind of reconnect some things together and stuff. So it starts to get a little bit more complicated, but it is just more of the same. Manipulate the space, place the pictures, take a picture, place the picture, and that sort of thing.
That was my fear playing the demo. That it's like, whilst it is a very good gimmick, if it is just that one gimmick, is that gonna, be interesting throughout the duration of the game? But if it is short, then that alleviates most of my anxiety, I guess, about it. The talking, there was a lot of talking, even in the demo, and I'm not sure if I was into the talky bit.
Sure.
Are you into the talky bit?
I don't think it adds much.
Yeah.
There is a...
But you feel compelled to listen to it at least.
I mean,
or at least during the demo. I don't know. Was it? It was audio logs though, wasn't it? Like,
yes.
Didn't you find things in the world and it was just
There are audio logs to find. The character does speak to a cat that appears a little bit later on when the world kind of opens up a little bit, and you also get
Tipptoes, because if it is, then it's game of the
year. Almost.
Anything like this
Almost.
Cat,
it's a little bit more. I'd say it's a little bit more Cheshire Cat than the Baron Cat. But there's also phone calls, and I don't know whether there is like weird cloning or you are a virtual representative within the game of your own self, but you're kind of talking to yourself through these phone calls. And it does unfold a bit of story, these phone calls, that it kind of says, there's some issues going on, we'll sort them out. Then the next one is, we can't really sort out the issues, but just make sure that you can find X. And that gives you a little bit of context about kind of what you're sort of doing. So they're a little bit sparse, which is fine. But I haven't really cared that much about what it is. It is just, cool, how do I figure out how to move to the next space? This is a weird configuration of stairs and walls and things. Can I break through it in this way? Yes, but I've deleted the terminal that I had to get through. Cool, rewind, find a slightly different angle to place the picture to break through the wall to get to the terminal, kind of thing.
Right.
So
have you cheesed any solutions so far? Because I feel like in the demo I was like,
I
this
don't
seems like I shouldn't be able to jump here or something.
I
Or
don't
just like,
know. So the
Yeah.
cat sticks around through the levels with you.
Hmm.
And there was a comment by the cat which could have just been pre-generated. It could be that every time you complete that level, the cat does it. But he was like, "Oh, that was clever." And I'm like, "Was it? I don't know. It could have just been the only way to do it." So it kind of, I think it wants you to feel that you are progressing and that the things that you're doing are a little bit cleverer than they actually are, potentially. So it's a bit of a weird feeling as you get a solution and then just be like, oh cool, I've just moved to the next stage now. Was that good or not? I don't really know.
Yeah, it's like with Breath of the Wild where there was some things like, largely in like the bigger dungeons, where it was like I definitely cheese things, and people were like, "Oh no, that's just great game design," making things multiple paths. It's like, no, I cheesed it, and it's like this feels a little broken, and yeah, so
I mean,
it's a fine line sometimes. Sometimes it is just
absolutely.
fun, but sometimes it is just like, well, you didn't foresee this, and which sometimes understandable, but sometimes it's like sort of not cheats the overall experience, but makes you think like, is this as you say, is this as clever as it's trying to be?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will get to
it
it
doesn't.
because it probably runs like a dream on Steam Deck as well. So
Yeah, I would think so. Absolutely. It doesn't quite get to the same clever solutions that maybe the openness of something like Tears of the Kingdom does, especially with the kind of the contraption vehicle building kind of stuff.
Yeah, that feels like good cheesing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Viewfinder is, oh, I've just made the world extend a bit further, and now I can take a photo of the whole thing that I wanted, rather than trying to piece together, which is what it feels like to me. Tears of the Kingdom is like, I've made a giant robot with an exploding cock, and I've burnt the whole world with it. Amazing, hooray!
Made Metal Gear.
And
Yeah.
built Metal Gear within a Zelda game. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's, absolutely to do with the scale of the game. This is a small game, as we've said. It's probably incredibly short, or at least short in comparison to other games which are of a similar kind of ilk. But I
It
don't
is
know whether that's
incredibly impressive, the mechanic. I don't know. It's like, I just see it as magic, because I don't even know how you program code, make something like this. I think it's magic.
That's absolutely the big takeaway from it. That
Yeah.
you can just replace the world at any whim. I could turn and take a photo here, and then put that there, and just cut out what was there, and that is the thing.
That I'll never understand.
Yeah.
I could go to game development school for like 10 years, and I still wouldn't understand how that works. So, props to them.
There's lots of lovely little bits as well. In the demo, there is an area where you can pick up a picture, and it almost shows you this kind of computer game like level, and you can place it, and you can actually, if you place it kind of well enough, you can go in that and collect the collectible, the pickup within that space. It's
like
not
Tetris
just. It's kind of wow. It's almost a bit like kind of almost a bit more Donkey Kong. Kind of, there's a few platforms and a collectible kind of thing in it, and there is a Tetris one as well. When I placed that, all the bits just fell out and just fell into oblivion underneath the platform that I was on, sort of thing. So it's very clever in its physics. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm glad it's I mean, it's a very good kind of thing just to show in like a GIF. It's very like, here's the sales pitch of this game. Like, just looking at it, it's just like, it does just like blow your mind. But I'm glad it's, people are talking about it. A lot of people seem to have played it, bought it, so that's good. Like, because this could just have been, here's this, proof of concept, weird mechanic that we made, and just be like, little thing on Steam that didn't blow up, but
Yeah.
seems like there's been a lot of eyes on this, which is good. So
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know whether I'll just have a quick look on Steam. Sad Owl Studio. It's made by. It doesn't. There is no Sad Owl Studio page. It just takes you to Thunderful, who are the publisher.
I don't know if
So-
it was their first game. No, I remember just like the preview rounds and stuff like that. I don't know if that was their first game. Hello Studios, SOS. Oh, SOS Games. That's cool. In Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that's on there. So that's cool. Scottish Game Development Studio.
Which we
Represent
don't
the Brit.
see a huge amount of.
No, other than like GTA.
Rockstar. Yeah.
Lemmings.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we move on from Viewfinder? Has anyone else? I mean, what have we been about a month? Has anyone else played anything else?
I went through a rigmarole to almost play a game.
Oh yes, yes.
I like that. Almost played a game, not quite.
Have I played a game other than that? No.
Oh, did I speak about this last time? The last game I played. Oh yeah, I did because I remember saying Fist.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The Metroidvania. Finished that on the 18th of July. So yeah, it has been a while. Hasn't it?
Yeah. You did talk about Fist a little bit.
Yeah, I finished it. It's a game that continually impressed me. How it just seems so indie and budget, but it's like it was, like the animation, the combat, the cutscenes and stuff like that. You could still see it was like a little rough around the edges in terms of like the cutscenes and stuff like that. But in terms of like the combat, the how big the world is and everything like that, it's just it continually impressed me of how grander scale it seemed compared to whatever its budget was. So yeah, and it's really good Metroidvania. I'd recommend it to anyone who's like just pining for one. I think Blasphemous 2 is coming out soon. Is it this month or next month? But that'll be the next dopamine hit. That'll be the next. That'll be me down a dark alley. Belt round my arm, just getting that next hit. So, other than that, I started. Is it called Blossom Tales 2?
Okay.
I haven't touched that for a while because it is just going to be a very pick up and go game. That's why I started it originally, because it's basically Link to the Past, as was the first game. This feels even more by the numbers than the first one, to be a complete like Link to the Past clone. And I say that with all due respect and love and affection, because it's like I just picked it up and it's like, oh, yeah, I know where I'm going, I know what to do, I know to get the sword in, dangerous to go alone and all of that, and I know where this is going to be, where that's going to be. It's just like paint by the numbers, very okay, I know what I'm doing, because I've done this several times in several Zelda games at this point now, so it's like, yeah, it's nice. Doesn't really add much to the first game, I guess. It's like very similar in that sense, but it's just more of the same is good. If you're just looking for something to literally switch your brain off to, podcast game, because it almost plays itself sometimes if you've ever played like a Zelda game. 2D one. So, but yeah.
Interestingly, it pops up saying it's similar to games that I've played, Death's Door and Moonlighter.
Well, I wouldn't say so.
But yeah.
A bit weird. Because those games are not Zelda games.
Yeah.
This is literally playing A Link to the Past with a new skin.
Right.
So, yeah.
I do like the I do like the aesthetic of it. though.
Yeah, it's very colourful. It's
Yeah.
great. I think the nicest thing about it, the whole gimmick, and the first game had this, is like it's all portrayed in a sense of that it's start of the game. There's this grandfather, and he's telling his granddaughter and grandson like a story, like a bedtime story and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And basically you can imagine up different enemies. It like gives you a choice. It's like, okay, and then Blossom fought was it a knight or was it a massive frog or something, and you can choose which one. And it's like, that's cute, but other than that, it's like, yeah, very by the numbers. But
Yeah. Okay.
it's sort of what I need at this point. Like, I'm not looking to play anything that's needs much attention.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Adil, I think I interrupted your
Oh no, that's
saga.
more than fine.
I was going to say, are we at a point, because I a rare moment, I have 2 beers this evening. I've already banged back that Saison, so I might open up another beer before we lean into
I might
chat.
grab another glass rather than necking the last half of this
Yeah, fair.
while you crack that beer.
Cool. Okay. I will open it as I chat. I saw the picture of a bear, and I was like, I'm gonna buy that beer.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't know what it was.
That's a nice grizzly.
I didn't know who it's by. There's a big word, Skooman, on the side. Again, is that the name of the beer? Is that the brewery? I don't know. Let's find out. I think it's the name of the beer. It's a rye IPA. It's 6%. Inspired something about a Quest of America. An IPA, a fruity IPA.
The bear is Columbus.
Just eating the salmon is the Native American. It's the brewery is Skooman. Skooman.com is their website. That's the only way that I've actually picked this up. Here we go. Brasserie Skooman. Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, a rye IPA with some words on that I can't read. So
yeah, what did I have at Baron as well? Did I? And it was red, and it was a style that you don't usually see. It might have been a. Was it rye? Was it like red rye?
Oh, a red rye, yeah. We haven't had red rye for fucking ages.
Yeah. I was like, what was it? Gosh, what was it? And I was just like, that's what I'm having immediately. If only I had the presence of mind to actually note down what I was drinking. In probably the only time I'm going to visit that brewery, because it's in the middle of flipping nowhere. So,
where is it?
I don't even know. Somewhere in Hertfordshire. Somewhere in Hertfordshire.
Amazing.
But it's only 20 minutes from Crossover Blendery, so that was at least something.
Yeah.
So,
nice. Yeah, nice, easy little tour around a few kind of rurally located breweries.
We went to Crossover well, that's where we started. You could have started the tour wherever you wanted out of the 3 breweries. But we started at Crossover because that is like the only place next to, life and civilization. To be fair, Pastore is as well, I think. But yeah, we went to Crossover, then Pastore, then Baron, and back to Crossover. So that was
nice.
Yeah, I think it was about 40 minutes to Pastore, and then another 40 minutes down to Baron, and then only 20 minutes between the last 2. So.
Okay.
Pastore is definitely the one that's a bit further out. So, yeah, that's fun.
That's reasonable trips between.
Yeah, and didn't need the toilet, so it was good. Just a short enough car ride where didn't need to go behind some bushes.
Brilliant. So the Skooman, the beer with a bear on it, it's very clear, but it's really amber in colour. Comes through a lot darker on the camera than it actually kind of is. A little bit of head with it. Both of these bottles have opened with a little bit of head. Lovely rye nose, a bunch of toffee in the nose on this. And just a really smooth beer.
Smooth, eh? No, like, carbonation, like...
Not a lot of carbonation. Tiny bit of carbonation.
Okay.
But again, it's more maybe... As a rye IPA, maybe more malt forward than anything else. But it has those slightly sweeter, very slightly sweet kind of toffee flavour to it. But actually that disappears quite quickly and leads into this quite bitter finish. Not kind of ashy or smoky. It's not piney. It's kind of somewhere in the middle that I can't quite figure out what this sort of bitterness is tasting like. It's bitter,
like spicy,
but it's again potentially a holdover from the Saison. Maybe a little bit, but I think it's that juxtaposition between the sort of the sweet or sweeter malts and then this like bitterness coming in. That sweetness is still there a little bit, which is throwing that bitterness off from being an identifiable bitterness, perhaps. I'll return to it later. You know, maybe the bitterness has opened up a little bit more as I drink through.
I'm looking at that glass you're drinking out of, and I know I have like 4 in this house that I took from them. I was just like, that's a nice glass. Maybe I should use mine.
I think I only ended up with 1.
I think I took like 3 back.
From this
One
year.
might still be in my boot. So.
Nice. just rolling around in the boot of the car. Adil, you went and grabbed another beer. You opening it now, or we?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've got Crack Brewing Company's Dreaming of.
I like Christmas.
Oh,
it's got a lovely tin. It's Dreaming of ... It's a double dry hop Simcoe IPA. Another 7%er. Barley, oats, and wheat. Brewed canned at Track. That's the entirety of the flavor text. So just Track's Dreaming of double dry hop Simcoe IPA.
That's a new one to me.
Track or
no, that beer specifically.
Yeah, so this was this was at the Hop Knocker a couple weeks back. And I know Ben over at the Hop Knocker is like pretty trying to be on top of stuff in the north. See,
it's
actually I haven't really. It's fine.
Didn't even look like a track can. That's what I was like. Like the art, the colouring. I need to go back to Track because I went when they only had their little thing next to Cloud Water.
They've definitely expanded, I think, right? So now they're in Unit 18 Piccadilly Trading Estate, Manchester.
Yeah. It's the same place, but just bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
Rather than just downstairs with just like two drafts. But yeah, I should go. Are those train strikes stopped yet? Even though I could just drive up to Manchester.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Manchester.
For those keeping score, I drank Track's Dreaming of Ella. Was a single hopped Ella beer about 25 episodes ago. 359.
There's no way I'm remembering.
No, absolutely not. But the Dreaming of kind of sat in my brain. Like I think I've had a beer from them that is a Dreaming of beer. And what was the one you got, Adel? Was it Simcoe?
Yeah. So this is it's the Dreaming of double dry hop something IPAs, right? That's their stick, I think.
Yep.
And this is the double dry hopped Simcoe. And you had the Ella, right? Yeah, and I know they've got a Galaxy.
Nice.
I've seen that one.
I need to get on this.
I'm sure there's more.
I haven't had a
We
crap
do
beer in
research
ages.
here at our podcast. So here it's actually all. Actually, can you?
Same colour as the last one, practically.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little lighter, but not
it's
much.
a little darker, a little
Yes.
more yellow,
Oh, okay.
golden straw, and this is a little more orange. The first one, but very, very similar. Like if I didn't conveniently have them side by side, I'd say they're the same color.
Yeah.
You know, I am not observant. Smells completely different though. You're getting a light stone fruit on the nose. Maybe a touch of pine, a little bit of citrus, like peel,
Okay.
like a very light lemon peel, and something piney, but no dankiness, just a little piney note. But mostly it's this like trying to decide if it, yeah, peach, little like a peach stone fruity note.
Yeah.
Just the nose. You can see the head's kind of already sort of dwindled a bit. Oh, that's very good.
Nice.
Yeah, this is Simcoe, right? To the nines. It's a little creamy actually, which I really like. It's so it just like is nice soft on the palate because of this like slightly creamy thicker thing, which I assume is the 7%, but the last beer was also a 7%, and it didn't quite have this richness. Which just makes the like that like slightly the transition of the it finishes a bit zesty and a bit light and a bit sweet, but the foretaste is that stone fruit.
Sounds like all the things that I like.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that pininess I was detecting is still somewhere there, but it's mostly stitching things up in the background. So you wouldn't notice it, you wouldn't call it dank or piney. But if I think about what type of bitterness is sort of holding things together, it's probably that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying how there's just that slight creamy edge that's like helping blend things. So it's like the creaminess is kind of up front, but light, holding things together. And the sort of pininess is like way at the back, but light and holding things together. In the middle is this like slightly this meld of the sort of citrus. Shit. Sorry, I turned too much and I moved diode. Sorry. I was out walking earlier today and I was getting a little sweaty. I'm like, oh, my chest is sweaty, and almost clawed off one of the electrodes. My life is weird. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so it's this this like almost citrus skin zest, and then this stone fruit that's sort of very close, and what like keeps it close is this like pininess on the one end and creaminess on the other end, holding it together. And that sounds like a Frankenstein thing, but actually it's all really well melded. It's very, very good.
Sounds like something I want. And you said it was a double, yeah?
Double dry hopped. Yeah.
Oh, double dry hopped. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, it's a 7%. So depending on how you.
Yeah, because I was like, I remember you said 7. I was like, is that? Yeah. I feel shortchanged when the 7% beer and they call it a double IPA. I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
No, this is.
I want 8 or higher.
Yeah,
no, I know.
IPA.
Yeah, I know.
It's just double dry hopped.
Yes.
Obviously, it's. I assume it's just Simcoe, so it's double hopped with Simcoe, which I think is where the nose had that more distinct pininess, but the taste really has that like way in the background. I assume that's the dry hopping bringing that note of a Simcoe hop out.
I was going to say, to be fair, like with this new alcohol duty tax thing, double IPA is going to be like 6% soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they just won't exist.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Tippers just a no more.
Tippers are
It was just
4.5%.
a thing you get only if you work in Parliament because there's an exemption.
Mm. Yeah. Carling is the new double
What?
IPA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Myself
saw
sad.
I saw dippers at Baron, and I was like, oh, this is novel. Mm. Yeah, it's like, oh, there was 2 dippers on. One I didn't get a chance
Nice.
to try and draft because I bought some cans. And the other was very nice. And I was like, oh, look at this. You have to escape out to the middle of the country to escape from the government's eyes.
Yeah.
Tax you. Make the double.
That's it.
I'm
We've
just
just
gonna
got
start making moonshine.
yeah,
in my
absolutely.
bathtub.
We've got just bathtub batches now
Yeah.
of just stuff to be able to drink. Don't even buy it from anyone now. Just make it yourself. It's just constant dipper knockoffs. They're just never quite right. Like, well, I'll drink it anyway.
I'm gonna bathe in it and drink in it. Yeah, I'm just gonna brew it whilst I'm bathing in it.
Just full of my own filth. Just drink it whilst I'm here.
My yeast will ferment it. What was that?
What a lovely turn that took.
I don't know if it's several breweries, but they've like got like the yeast from like beard hair or something like that. I can't remember.
What? No,
Yeah,
I don't. I said what, but actually I meant nope. I don't actually want no more information.
That was
Neat.
It-
Some people did some weird shit. Thanks, Lucy. Let's move on.
It was definitely some. I don't know who it was, but they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna. The strain we're gonna get is from all these beards."
George's beard.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know. Beard.
Yummy.
Classy. Beard, maybe. Google search.
Beard yeast beer.
Oh, here we go. Brewmaster makes beer from his beard yeast. One brewery in Oregon. It would be America.
Well, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that's online if you'd like to read into that.
Yep,
more,
that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing that you can.
Hey, the heat, the alcohol will kill all known germs, so it's fine. Yeah. I'd drink it. Why not?
Until that's the next mass pandemic, because heat doesn't actually do anything to it. And just, suddenly everyone's coming down with some weird beard yeast disease. Good. Let's drink the beers that we have open. Lucy, continue to drink the beer that you first opened, and we'll talk a little bit more about games. Aadil, we will come to you for the tale you're about to tell.
Yeah. So basically what happened was I had a hankering to play some Final Fantasy. And I was like, oh, I have Steam Deck. Perfect. I don't even have to leave my bed. And then it transpired that I don't own the earlier games. And I was thinking, like, oh, maybe I'll play FF5 or I don't know if I finished 4. I don't have those. Oh, but the new Pixel remasters came out. I'll Google them. It's like, oh, okay, those are fine. And then I was like, oh, but wait, I own 1 through 9, 10. I think I own the first 10 FF games on my Vita.
Oh, I didn't know there was that many on there.
Yeah, there was the FF 10 and 10-2 came out on PS2, and the remaster came out on PS3 and Vita.
Yeah.
And so I got that on the Vita. In fact, I might have got it
many
on a
of them
weird
on there?
bundle where I bought it on the PS3 and it gave me the Vita's free. Anyway, I have those on these tiny, stupid proprietary Sony cards where the first 9 are on one, and then another, which is 16 gigs, and then like an 8 gig has FF 10 and 10.2 on it because, you know, whatever. I was like,
That's
oh, right, I own these.
200 quid worth of proprietary memory.
And
right
I
there.
know, like, FF 1 and 2 are a weird remaster, but most of them are, like,
Decent.
reasonable. Because they're PS1, PS2, PS3/Vita direct ports, right? Or
They're not
emulations.
like Android
They're not.
emulation.
Yeah, they're not the stupid shit that they'd release on Steam. I was like, great, I'll just charge my Vita. But then my brain was like, look into the homebrew jailbreak scene of the Vita, because it's been discontinued by Sony. So I have no qualms about doing anything with the thing. And then I had to figure out how to. It turns out there's like a browser jailbreak. So if you upgrade to the latest Vita version, but flatten all your save files away, so it's just a stock version 3.74, you can go to a website which is like jailbreak.psp2.dev. Maybe, he says, realizing he gave away the thing. Go to that website on your browser, and then you just click unlock, and it, via the browser, will break into the OS
Wow.
and allow you to install the homebrew. Mwah.
Nice.
And so I did that, and then I realized, oh wait, so I like jailbreak the Vita, and then I realized the whole point was playing games I owned, but because I reset it to factory, I took it away from my PlayStation account, which is the thing that allows me to play owned games. So now, when I plugged in the Vita stupid proprietary 16 gig card, it was like, I don't know, you gotta log in. But the way the jailbreak works is it rolls it back to 3.65, which the PlayStation Store won't let you log into unless you upgrade. But it has a spoofer where you literally just go, enable. You check a checkbox that says PSN spoof, and then it says version, and it's just a text space, and you just type in 3.74, and then it's like, and then it's like it. That's what it reports. Like the OS is so stupid that it's literally just a text field that you. So the jailbreaker is just like, you just change the text field to the current version.
Nice.
That's funny.
However, it turns out that wasn't working, and I had to do some weird deep Googling. And it turns out I needed to enable two-factor authentication because of what Sony's done onto my Sony account, because it wouldn't let me authenticate with my regular password that like I use on my fucking camera that I bought last year. I had to enable two-factor authentication, get it, and then go in their weird Byzantine help section to find out that, of course, the PS3 and PS Vita don't have rolling code capabilities. So in order for two-factor authentication to work, it will generate a one-off code that I thought I had to deal with earlier. This is all at like 11:30 last night, and I was like, I got it. I have to generate this code. Why isn't it working? It turns out it's because that code is for the two-factor authentication on the account, which I didn't have enabled. And none of the pirates were like, you have to enable it on your account and then enable this code. So I found the code, and then afterwards, when I was trying to figure out what was going wrong, found people being like, oh, if you enable two-factor authentication, it won't work unless you generate this code. And I was like, oh. I had to like reverse engineer a totally different problem to figure out that that's how it worked. But now,
I don't crap on Sony, but this is a specifically Sony problem.
oh yeah. Now I can play. I can do what I could have done at the beginning of my evening last night, which is turn on my Vita with the card installed, put it on the network, and play the game that I own.
But you know what?
All I wanted to do was play a game I owned, and that functionality was there to begin with.
You know what?
But now I can hypothetically run an emulator on that, but I won't because I own a Steam Deck. So of course, if I was going to emulate, I'm going to do that.
You're not going to do that because if you're anything like me, you go through all this rigmarole, and then that is the fun of it.
Oh
and
yeah, it's
then playing the game. You don't care about playing the game.
The game I was playing was
when it runs, it's like cool. Okay, let me quit to desktop.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the game I played was make Vita homebrew and PSN, and I fucking beat it. And I tried to use the game facts, but those were shit. So there was its own puzzle. It was like a weird online puzzle game fact thing.
But it was fun. That is the fun of it.
And like that's why
I don't think I would have been able to do that because Sony stuff is particularly nightmarish. But
what I really wanted to do was like play FF5 on the Steam Deck.
But after all that, you're just like, but you've got so much more fun out of doing that.
There was a whole.
That you don't even need to play the game.
Yeah, I didn't, and I'm not sure I want to play FF5 anymore.
No, you don't. You absolutely don't. You just wanted the challenge.
Well, and see, and the thing is, part of the challenge was actually the like doing it on getting. Like, I own the game on this system.
Mm-hmm.
This system is old. Can I do the thing? Can I keep the system open but still use their own stuff. That was the puzzle I really wanted to solve. Because at any point, I could have installed RetroArch or Emu Deck on the Steam Deck and downloaded a ROM of FF5 on the I could have gotten the PS Vita ROM, which emulates internally the PS1 version of the release, or I could have just gotten FF5 would have been what, SNES maybe?
Yeah.
Or I could have just gotten the original ROM of that, and any of those would have just worked on Emu.
Yeah.
The point wasn't that, right? Like,
no, it's always the fun of it, just like seeing.
I'm a tinkerer, and I
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah. I've got.
I mean, that's why I've been a
procured
PC gamer for a
PSP.
long time, because PC gaming's usually been a pain in the ass, and I kind of like that part.
I've procured a PSP, and I don't have a
Oh.
charger. Do you know what charger it takes?
Is it not just a
Yes.
DC?
Is it
It's
just
a DC
one
charger. It's a you can
definitely have one right here.
Yeah.
No.
Have you got a keyboard lying around anywhere?
Actually,
Not
no,
like a
it's a
computer
DC charger
keyboard,
or
just
a
a
micro-
musical keyboard. They're all DC charged.
It's a USB, the micro USB. I think it can also charge off of that.
Oh.
Because it
Right.
has the not the thin, like the old school kind of square hexagonal micro USB.
Yeah, no, that's
Micro
that one.
Yeah, because I remember plugging. That's how you can do data transfers on it. I think it can still charge off that.
Okay, yeah. I literally haven't looked at it. It was just
That
the
is also a
batteries
fun
there,
thing to
and
hack.
yeah.
The problem is,
I was like, what
I
can do
stopped
with
caring
this?
about it when I got the Vita because anything my PSP can do piratey wise, the Vita can do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally built to emulate everything the the PSP did, like natively, and then there's all the stuff the pirates have figured out.
Is there then another step in this? In that is there a Steam Deck, not necessarily like jailbreak scene, but I know there's lots of workarounds to get various different things kind of working.
Oh yeah, so
on it.
Retro Deck and Emu Deck are the two different environments you can do emulation on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I can't.
All of that is, as far as Valve is concerned, not pirating their content. Like there's no. As soon as you put another OS on, you could play any pirated game you want on Steam Deck using Proton, right? Like if it works, like there's very easy ways to get the games you can buy on Steam that are Steam Deck verified by just installing them and using the same software that Steam Deck uses. Like that's not this. No one's trying to break into the Steam system that way. So all the rest is like totally easy because no one's trying to crack down on it.
Right.
What's interesting is like there's the Switch
like
emulator is one of the things you can easily get on both of those things, and it's reasonable on some of those games. And the Steam Deck has enough power to emulate. So again, for those of you, if you don't know, listeners, like you can't look at raw stats on emulation and be like, this has more processing power, so of course it can play the games of something that has less raw processing power because your system has its own OS and everything resources
Apples
that it's
to
using,
oranges,
and then the emulation is sitting on top of that, and it is pretending to be using your system resources, the system that will then play the game. So there's like 3 layers. There's game, there's emulated OS, and then there's your base OS. And the emulation is all a lot of reverse engineering, so it's usually not efficient, and some stuff it just doesn't do. But that's why you can't just be like, well, the Steam Deck is just more powerful than the Switch, so it can emulate the Switch, because the emulation is like
just does it
kind
isn't
of a lot of
one-to-one.
hacking and hoping in some sense, but also you aren't skipping the Steam OS layer. So the Steam OS is like using those baseline resources, so then the next level of resources have to be used to emulate the Switch baseline resources, and then whatever's left over runs the game. And if the emulator isn't super tight and efficient, that layer in the middle is just uses up everything, which is why, like, for the longest time, even N64 took too much resources for a PC to emulate, right? Like, Dolphin has been around for actually over a decade, and not much has changed with the code underneath. It's just, in order to emulate it, it just needed too much resources because you didn't have the special chip that had all the decoding and coding. So you had to build the chip in software. And that just turned out to be really hard for the standard x86 to do. And when we moved to x64 chips, that's where suddenly emulating the N64 was a lot more viable because you were no longer going 32 to 60. Anyway, emulation's a lot harder than it seems in the sense of power.
I mean, PlayStation 3 was very hard for a long time. I think they,
it's still hard. It's hard because the cell architecture is fundamentally different than everything else. Yeah. So even though 9 cores used to be the problem, right? The cell was the first 9-core thing, I think. Anyway, it had a bunch of cores in a time where PCs didn't have that many, and then but the architecture was just not the way that when we got multiple cores in our home chips, they were not designed the same way. So you couldn't like one-to-one map them in a way and like make that work. It was a really weird chip that like if in a vacuum, I think the PS3 would have been a better gaming environment for everyone. But the problem was it was so foreign, people would have to learn it, and also coding for the cell architecture to its strengths was fundamentally not the same as coding for the Xbox 360. So as soon as the install base was obviously Xbox, it's like, well, we're not going to default code for this thing, and actually the best we can hope is like a bunch of kludges and band-aids to make this 9-core thing do the normal thing. And at that point, like nothing about that architecture's uniqueness was being exploited for good. It was being exploited for mediocre.
Yeah.
And that's why the PS3 was a fail, right? Like technologically, it was probably a more interesting architecture to design for if everyone was just designing for it, just because the multi-core and parallel threading was still new and could have enabled some really cool shit. But when you're coding for a system that doesn't have that, you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna take advantage of that because that means you can't get all the Xbox players with the same base code base.
That's why there were broken multi-platform games on PlayStation 3.
That's why the PlayStation 3 was a neat idea that fundamentally failed.
I might procure an original Xbox and see what I can do with that.
OG Xbox was my first hacked console that became a home theater PC.
Nice.
Yeah.
I still have my PS3 in my NTSC because that's how old PS3 is. So which means like if you lend me a PS3 game, I won't be able to play it. But my PS3 was the 80 gig with the emotion chip, so it has the hardware PS2 emulating.
The Fat Boy.
Which for a long time mattered. Now it doesn't.
No.
Your fucking iPad can emulate.
But I would like an easy way to play PlayStation 2 discs for sure.
Oh, you can come over to my place and play any PS2 game.
I mean, I've got a PlayStation 2, but like.
No, come over to mine. Come all the way to Durham.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the easiest way for you to play a PlayStation 2 game is come to Durham.
Okay. No, I'd rather just hook up my old PS2.
God damn it! Visit me. I'm lonely.
Was PS2 was not a SCART cable, was it? When did consoles change from SCART to something else?
It was a SCART.
Was it?
We didn't have SCART in North America, so I have no idea.
Oh.
It was a SCART, yeah.
Yeah.
PS2 was so we had the like RCA triples, right? So left, right, yellow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was what my housemate's PS2 came out as.
Yeah,
but I
was
think
gonna.
alternate. PS3 was the first HDMI, the first digital console in the PlayStation.
Yes, I think when we had the original PS2, it was it SCART? But I remember the slim version. Went down to the sort of the AV cable kind of red yellow white kind of cable situation.
Yeah, I can't remember because I think I played the PS2 in like the modern era within like the last maybe 5 years, or maybe more than that, 7 years. So
that was one of
the hell I did it.
Well, it was one of the big issues. I brought my dad for his 60th birthday a Mega Drive, and it was not even getting the adapter from SCART to plug into a modern TV. That was fine. Just compatibility wise, it was so shocking. That I think I went through maybe 2 or 3 different adapters until one kind of was like, this gives a reasonable quality.
Picture.
Exactly from the Mega Drive. Yeah. So
well, maybe I'll have to figure that out soon if I find a Master System and NES and all that. But...
Yeah.
Well, I'll cross that bridge when I
absolutely
come to it.
I think the only cracked console I've ever had was the PlayStation 1, which was cracked pretty quickly to be able to play multi-regional games and random and copied discs as well. Yeah. Not even multi-regional games, but copied discs as well. That was the big thing with PlayStation 1. The amount of games I played, which was like someone's uncle has made this. Yeah, just on a plain disc. It says like Siemens on it or something. You're like, okay, cool. Where's this come from? Sure.
Good times, man.
The heyday of piracy.
Yeah. But even PlayStation themselves didn't lean into it. But there was I can't never remember what it was. But there was a disc that you could play in an uncracked PlayStation, which would allow you to kind of make your own like mini games and stuff like that on it as well. I'll never remember what the name of that is, and I never delved into it. But I always remember friends who had that and had made like tiny little mini experiences on their PS1s. So it's a weird space we're in now where everyone or companies at least are so worried about piracy that they have so many levels of protection and Denuvo and all of those kinds of companies which are literally just about DRM and only allowing you to validate it when you're online and all of this kind of shit.
Yeah. And it's such a small percentage of people who would pirate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The majority of people would buy it. It's like even, who sort of knows what they're doing sometimes a little bit would rather buy the game. You know what I mean? It's like
I think but it's kind of as games have grown up with like a generation of people, like you get to our age and it's like I could buy the game or I could pirate it for free, or I could just not play it. I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't have the time. Yeah, exactly. Just wait. Yeah. You're like that. Who gives a shit, actually?
It's like, come on. Yeah. It's like, this is still £60 okay, I won't play it. Cool. I'm not going to pirate it because I can't be arsed.
Oh, amazing. It's £15 now. Cool. Oh, it's £4.50? Yeah, I'll buy that and just sit in my Steam library and never touch it again. Yeah. Absolutely.
In terms of emulation, though, I do absolutely recommend the Analog Pocket. Is that the right one? Yeah, the one over there.
I guess it depends on the kind of games you want to.
Oh yeah, well, it's only up to a certain point. So you're not going to be doing PlayStation 2 games or anything like that. So, but in terms of like NES, SNES, and like the handhelds and Mega Drive, as you say. It's great that it's like, well, those games are so small. It's just like you can pack literally every game ever made at that time, and it's just like, and it's really easy to just like get going, sort it out. So.
Yeah, I always remember cracking the DS I had.
Oh yeah,
with
the DS
with the R4 DS cart, like, and just chuck it in your PC. Download all the Japanese games that hadn't released over here, plus a bunch of previous...
and then never play them.
Yeah, absolutely. I played like 3 different versions of Elite Beat Agents, because I'm like, what is this game? Bap, 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 bap. Oh, cool, there's some cool music to this. I'll play this rhythm game. Amazing. And like Ace Attorney and stuff like that. And it's with all the original kind of Japanese...
I do
soundtracks
like
and voices and stuff like that, and you're just like, yeah, I'll play it like this. This is how it was meant to be played. Perfect. This is what I want. And then just be like, I will never touch this again. Get to a point where you're like, I've downloaded 400 games. I will never
So
play
this
all of
is-
them. I
this
played
is the
six.
thing I realized.
played 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I like the limitation. So capitalism is a plague. However, the limitation of not being able to just go to Steam and be like, I want to play this game is useful, right? Like being able to be like, I'm gonna wait and like really think about which of these, like, of all the games I've heard of, there's like 5 I'm interested in, and I can only afford one in the next couple months.
Oh, you're on about like
That
current games. I thought you meant like
yeah,
old
or even just
historical
general.
games.
Yeah, but just like
I wish everything was just available on. I don't know.
oh,
I
but
don't care what
I
it
mean,
is.
Game Pass says
I
otherwise.
have a Steam library of like a lot of games, and
Some games.
No, but I'm talking
one
like,
of the reasons
like
why I look at new
historical
games is because new
Yeah.
games are like a limitation, and I can't. That when you have close to 2,000 games that you may or may not have played once, like it's just I don't know which one to pick first.
I mean, like from a historical preservation point of view, like it would be nice if everything could just be on Steam, and all these
Oh.
companies would pull their finger out and just.
I
be like,
wish. Well,
Shouldn't
Steam
have to
needs to be like
emulate
an internet
things,
archive. Is the problem? It can't be a
Yeah.
capitalist thing.
I
That's
mean-
the real problem.
But that's what GOG wanted to be. Good old when
Yeah,
it
but
was,
it's,
when it was
still,
good,
it's
good
still
old
capitalist,
games.
right? Like
It's- yes, very
when,
much.
when
yeah.
they started being publicly traded, right? That's also when things went wrong with their
Yep.
development.
Yep.
But like, yeah, GOG was supposed to be an archiving thing, and it would have worked fine, but it's not that.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's turned
it was
into a
valiant
DRM-free
effort.
one, isn't it?
was
Isn't it?
just,
Like
yeah.
DRM-free is great, but
they've
it still
shifted.
isn't a central resource, right? There's
No,
still
absolutely.
There's still a storefront.
Yes, very much, and you can
Yeah.
you can
If you
download
want to
just
play
a
a
normal
weird
version.
point and click there, though, yeah, they'll have it.
Yeah,
But,
Yeah.
it is. I wish there was just a. Yeah, God.
yeah. It's not like you can take a photo of yourself
Nice.
with your Mega Drive or your SNES cards. Like, I own this game. Let me have some kind of digital version of it somewhere, please. And GOG are like, yeah, of course, here you go. Here's the digital version of it. Like, you still have to pay the 15 quid to pick it up to be able to play it.
Even that's fine as long as it's available. Like, yeah. But was it oh gosh, what are their names? Video Game History Foundation or something like that, when they were saying like it was between 80 and 90% of games are just lost to time now.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no, not lost to time. I should rephrase it, but it's like there's no easy way of playing them.
Sure.
And it's just
Like, a copy exists somewhere in the world. Just the person who
Some of
has
them
it
there
hasn't
aren't,
come
though, right?
forward to everyone, so everyone can kind of back engineer it and stuff.
So
like
many were printed.
Yeah.
Some source code was lost. It's sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. Games are crap now, so it doesn't really matter.
And that's a very lovely point for us to finish on this week.
I don't need to play Modern Warfare 3 too.
Wait, Modern Warfare
I'll just play the
3
original now that the servers
remastered,
are updated.
or Modern
I don't even
Warfare
know.
Modern Warfare rebooted 3?
I just saw Modern Warfare 3 and my eyes glazed over, and I thought I can play Modern Warfare 3 on Xbox via backwards compatibility. I think they might have taken those servers offline. I can't remember which one it was. I was going to read into it because I've been playing Black Ops now and then, but there was like some really bad security issue or something like that with one of the games.
Of course there was.
Took the servers offline, but I think Black Ops, the original one, is still okay. So I'm at peace.
Flops.
Yes,
Nice.
I've been playing that. Yeah, that's the only game I've probably been playing.
Fair. Oh yes, yeah. You started playing that a little while ago.
Replaying
When they
Toem
sort
for
of-
Microsoft Rewards points.
Yeah.
That doesn't even count.
I mean, Toem's a
just
fun
an
game,
affliction,
but
I
again,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because I didn't mind like replaying it because there was DLC that came out that I never played.
oh really?
so-
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now
Fair.
you know.
Nice. Let's return to the beers then. Lucy,
Mm.
any final comments on your beer this evening?
No, it was great.
Good.
Just nice and fruity. Not as Adil was saying earlier, it's not a fruit bomb, but it's got a nice level of fruit, like citrusy, tropical fruit. Nice bit of pininess, nice bit of bitterness. very easy. I'm glad it's a 500ml can because the more the merrier. And I like that cat.
Good.
So yeah, Baron's because it's even on its tiptoes. It's kind of got that freakish human hands as paws. It's just weird. But yeah, go check out Baron if you haven't. Go visit them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. For me, two nice beers from France. Very difficult for people to obtain them unless they're on a trip over to Brittany in any kind of way. But the Mont Hardi, the Saison was nice, very light, easy to drink. Would have been great earlier this afternoon. The Schumann though, just a bit more depth to it. You know, the rye IPA, just that little bit more depth that gives a kind of a layering of flavour. So there is that maltiness to it, but that bitterness that kicks in, still maintaining that little bit of sweetness. And as we were kind of talking about it, worried about that, or the idea that maybe that spiciness was a holdover from the Saison. And actually, I think the bitterness in this beer sort of stands on its own, really. So again, very easy, but just an extra layer of depth on this beer, which kind of made it a very good end of the evening beer.
Yeah.
So yeah, Adam.
I think so. The Interplayer 3 was, I would honestly like a sessionable 7% IPA. Like it was so light but with nuance that you could either rush through it or just like take your time. But the Dreaming of Simcoe by Track is, I mean, let's face it, we went through most of the podcast and I was like nursing the Interplayer 3 and like I just keep reaching for this Dreaming of.
Okay.
It's really good. I would thoroughly recommend it. It's not in your face, so it lives in the same space, but it's just, like I said, all the tasting notes are really well stitched together by some of the the very like core taste of the Simcoe hops, right? So it's the fact that the high ABV is giving a bit of a creaminess, so they like pick that really well, and that's helping keep together the sort of notes of the stone fruit, but also the pininess is in the background, and it's also kind of doing a stitching thing, and again, that's a very Simcoe thing, and so it's a really great example of what Simcoe can be. It's also just a really tasty beer. It's easy to drink. You can nurse it if you want. You can drink it quickly. You're not forced in either category. Just a good beer, guys. Like, just fucking find this and drink it.
Nice.
Okay, I need to, because I haven't had a track in ages.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So, they are the beers, and they've been the games that we've been playing sort of recently-ish.
The rigor to play games that we have been doing.
I just wanted to finish on, Steam was open on the side as I was looking at kind of developers and things like that. And New Tales from the Borderlands has popped up as 50% off. And I'm like, I enjoy Tales from the Borderlands. I'll have a look at New Tales from the Borderlands. Before you go on to the game, there is a content warning. Oh. And it says, I read it through. It seems absurd. But I just thought I'd finish with this. And I'm glad it's there for people. But mature content in this game is displayed in a variety of ways. From shooting other characters resulting in blood and gore spurting out, to characters losing limbs or being decapitated, to characters morphing into obscene monsters, and characters shooting themselves or inflicting self-harm. Would be enough in itself. However, it goes on to say...
Sorry.
The context of self-harm occurring due to depression from a character is not present. And the self-harm is only used for comedic effect, given the context of the scene. However, those that are sensitive to this topic should be aware of such scenes. Like, What? You're like
It sounds like a
justifying,
Borderlands game.
like justifying. But I mean, yes, it makes sense for Borderlands, but it's just a bit odd.
This is a Steam warning?
This is a Steam warning that there's, which I imagine is something from the developers, right? This is text written from the developers, but it's weird that there's this like justification within the content warning itself. Yeah.
If it's funny, Suicide's fine.
I mean, it is quite funny. Yeah, absolutely. But it's 50% off. It's got mixed reviews. Meh. If you like Tales from the Borderlands, you might like this.
That might be a Game Pass one.
Absolutely. I think if this was free somewhere, I'd probably play it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the first game, the first Tales from the Borderlands is probably the best Telltale game.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yeah, one of them. Absolutely. Yeah, maybe the first
It was my
Dead
favourite.
season.
Yeah, I think I overall that Tales from the Borderlands.
Ooh. I think people like Fable as well.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah.
Some of the ones were really good.
Yeah.
They had some good games.
Not Batman.
I don't know if either of you are into The Expanse.
It's just,
Apparently
yes.
That's one good.
Yeah.
That one is good.
You mean the TV show?
Yeah.
I watched the first 3 seasons with a housemate of mine and then lost track of time where we were together and really want to finish it. It was really good from what I remember.
Yeah, I think I watched the first
there's a
episode.
Telltale game there.
Oh, it's so I will attest that the first 3 seasons are really good, and it like develops in ways that expand the universe creation and character, but it does like sci-fi universe building and like, oh shit, that's a thing. That's a huge like swing to the fences shift without losing track of the main characters, which I think is really hard to do. So I really like it, and you've reminded me I actually might watch an episode before bed, unless I do the thing I'm supposed to be doing. And by supposed to be doing, I mean I've been missing reading, and so trying to like turn screens off and reading before bed. Last night being my first attempt at that, and then I just fucking you had a laptop and a PS Vita and a Steam Deck in front of me. So
Emulation. Yeah, I've got John Romero's autobiography to read, so
Oh, nice.
Cool.
I'd like to get round to that, but I'll just fall asleep.
But I've to round out reading corner. I've been reading The Empire Strikes Back from a certain point of view, which is
What is that?
extra story. It's basically a Star Wars novel, but lots of short stories, filling in tiny little gaps from The Empire Strikes Back. I read the book from the original film.
Cool.
The the Return of the Jedi, from a certain point of view, is coming out this year as well. And we've been pushing Evelyn into reading a little bit more before bed, just a little bit more downtime. So as part of that, I've been sat reading with her while she's reading. So I've picked this back up, and it's great.
Nice.
It's nice to have those extra little stories, and it's almost a bit of fan fiction, kind of. And I don't know whether any of it is canon, but it is just more little, not necessarily those kind of like big galaxy swaying Star Wars stories that the films and shows try to sort of attempt. This is just, this character was doing some shit at the time that these things were kind of happening. I'm like, cool, I like this.
Is there like an Ewok book where it's written from the perspective of an Ewok?
So the Return of the Jedi, from a certain point of view, is coming out this year. I would hope there's an Ewok.
I want all Ewok.
I would hope.
I just want.
And it's just.
I want to know what went down.
It's just like 10 pages of nub 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 nub. Like just. That would be great. There was actually in the first book there was a short story which was just lots of beeps and bloops from a droid. So I fully think that would happen with an Ewok as well. So yes, good. That's what we've been playing. That's what we've been drinking. That's what we've been trying to read as well recently. You can get us at TankerCast on all of the socials and let us know what you've been up to, what you've been drinking, reading, playing, watching, whatever you fancy. I'm at Lever_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
Adelaide.
At the Omniarch.
And you go to outoflives.net to look at all the other things that we are doing. Go to the Out of Lives YouTube page or the Twitch page to see our faces and the beers that we are drinking. Otherwise, rate and review us on your podcast service of choice. Now that we are back after a brief summer break, will we be back next week? I hope so. You hope so too, maybe.
I mean, global warming isn't coming for us that quickly.
It's swift, but maybe not quite that swift. Yeah. So until global warming obliterates all of us, we'll see you soon. We've been tanked up. Goodbye.
Ciao.
As the comet hits.
www.outoflives.net